Dela Cruz. My guest today is author Carmen Rubin and her family. Her husband Lee is joining us in this segment. Just recently, as we said earlier, they were both at the ABC afternoon program, The Chew. Welcome, Lee. It's good to have you here, too.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
That must have been exciting, especially when the two of you danced.
It was very exciting. She didn't know anything about it, so I finally was able to pull off a surprise on her.
Yeah.
You did that?
I absolutely did.
I didn't know.
You must have loved that.
Like the first time in his life, he's so proud of that.
Yeah, and everybody else in the audience, they must have gotten a kick out of that.
All a surprise
Oh, they
to
were
everyone
crying.
except myself and the producer and the DJ.
And the DJ. That's so great. He must be a romantic.
He really is. Yes, he is.
How long have you two been together and married?
Well, we met when he was 14. I was just about to turn 15. So we met, yeah.
And you knew at that age?
I knew.
I didn't.
He didn't know.
Well, it usually takes you all a little bit longer.
Exactly. I knew. I met him and something said, "That's your husband." And I was in California, he was in New Jersey, and again, the letters to God brought me, somehow landed me in New Jersey and with him. So we've been married going on 18 years in July.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What is it about the two of you that complements each other well?
You know, we've got some very similar skills. We're both very aggressive individuals, both from athletic backgrounds.
As Ashanti said.
Carmen is the planner of the family. She's definitely the planner of the family. I'm a bit more spontaneous,
Oh.
which is really code for me being a procrastinator. I wait until the last minute and then I become spontaneous.
Really, is that atypical for dudes? Just kidding.
So yeah, I mean, we just draw off each other's strengths and weaknesses. I know what he can do, he knows what I can do, and we work it that way. You know, we've known each other for a very, very long time, up close and personal, and we just kind of have found that place, and it works.
You're both very busy.
Sure.
We know
Yes.
you're an author and a speaker. Lee, you too, author, speaker. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I've been speaking for about 1.5 years professionally. I draw a lot of my material from my experience as a student athlete. Was fortunate enough to play football at Penn State. Was a 3-year starter and captain there, and really try to help organizations and individuals realize their full potential. So a lot of winning principles, and that's the title of my book, Win, Simple Insights to Help You Win the Game of Life. It's been out about 1 year and it's doing quite well, actually.
I like the title. So what are the winning principles that you try to reinforce and underscore with people?
You know, that's a great question. I think there's 3 things that are critical. Number 1 is being very self-aware. So I think winners have a very clear sense of identity. They know who they are. Secondly, is winners set very specific and lofty goals. Goals that both stretch them and help them be very clear about where it is they're trying to go. And thirdly, probably the most important, is winners embrace adversity.
Yeah, we do.
They don't run away, they don't hide, they understand that there's opportunities to grow in adversity.
In every negative situation, you can actually turn it around and make it a positive.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, what's the message you like to get across as a speaker, Carmen?
Well, my messages are usually for children. I'm just an advocate of children, and I am always trying to encourage them to speak, you know, to find their voice and to speak. And you can find your voice in a lot of different ways. You can find it through your gifts and talents. You can find your voice. And so a lot of times I will speak to young people about finding that voice and knowing who you are. And again, practicing those same principles that Lee has talked about. But then I also go after the adults who are responsible for our children. I advocate for children in every kind of way, through literacy, through music, through educational programs. That's what I do, and I make it my business to go back to the adults and say, listen, this child does have a voice. Allow them to say what they have to say and hear them and trust that they know.
Exactly.
A lot of times we don't give kids the benefit of the doubt. We don't think that they know, but we know.
They are adults in many bodies.
Absolutely.
Lee, for somebody who's struggling, we all go through it. We know it, that identity crisis of trying to figure out who you are. What am I doing here? What would you say?
You know, I think exposure, and which goes back to working with children, exposure is critical. I think many of us live in such small boxes, both geographically and mentally, that we haven't seen what's really out there. And many of the things that we do is really just try to show people there's a huge world out there. And if you don't find it, if you don't see it, you'll never know if you connect with it. So I think exposure is critical.
Exposure, take a chance,
Read a book.
open to adversity.
Yes, read a book.
Read a book, because if you can't travel there geographically, at least mentally, you might hear something or feel something or see something.
Expand the imagination.
Someone else has done, an experience someone else has had.
I love it. Carmen, Lee, thank you both very much for coming on. I appreciate it. Next, I'll chat with Carmen and Lee's beautiful daughters. You will love them.